So I'm just getting everything. Oh, you know what? My headphones aren't plugged in. We had a big snowstorm here. I don't know if you guys have been having to deal with that in your neck of the woods, but we got a couple feet of snow. A couple feet. Ah, yes. All right. Yeah, you're just going to put up with the casual start today because, like I said, this is all pre-show nonsense. You could ignore all of this. If you need to get a cup of coffee, you know. Hey, Elizabeth. Stefan over on Facebook. Sean. Charles on YouTube. ATJCom and such on Twitch. All right. And I'm now patched up on my, I guess what they would call retail live client. We were going to be down until 3 o'clock, so I was actually thinking about how I was going to do the show and maybe what I'd show off and what have you. Yeah. Bring up the old box of D&D stuff from the 80s or something. And then do Q&A about DDO, you know, obviously, too. But, and then we ended up getting up early. We didn't take nearly as long as some of our technical operations people had thought it was maybe going to take. Not saying they Scottied it. I'm just saying that we were up by, what, about 11 o'clock instead of 3. So that's 4 hours earlier than intended. Or than initially announced as of yesterday. So, hey, that's cool, right? All right, I guess. I think it's cool. I was actually going to do the tabletop, not the video game stuff. I was going to show off my old Greyhawk box set and what have you. Maybe I'll still do that someday. I'm waiting for the I really have an hour to kill and there's nothing going on to do that one. So I am on Kyber. Jerry, would the devs change the binding on the cooking jar to bound to account instead of bound to character? No. So we know that... well, let me start the show. Hello, welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I am DDO's community manager, Cordovan, and I'll be with you for the next hour doing some Q&A, hanging out on Kyber. I'm leveling up a recently TR'd character that's specifically for the live stream. We're working to improve this character's gear and leveling, and just kind of do some things like that. Bringing an old character, a 5-plus-year-old character, kind of up to modern times, as it were, is kind of the focus of what I'm doing gameplay-wise over the next couple of weeks. I'll be doing similar things on some of the other servers as well. Why do I stream at 720p rather than 1080p? Owen on Facebook asks. Thank you for bringing that up. As a matter of fact, I have recently been delving into that myself. The actual reason why it's 720p right now instead of 1080 is because I'm streaming from home, and I have found that if I try to do a 1080p stream simultaneously to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, my local home internet just can't handle it. So it gets very, very framey, and just not good at all in the archive. So I can't really do 1080p from home on 3 streams. I can look into, some of the third-party solutions out there like Restreamio and things like that. That's on the list of things to do. I just haven't gotten there yet. But I have found that I can do 720p no problem. So that's why on the 720p. I do think 2021 is the year where we're going to update that to 1080p if at all possible. Are the devs aware of a bug in the quest, a frosty reception? Craig on Twitch asks. depends on the bug. I know that I've seen some bugs about a frosty reception since Feywild. And I would be curious to know specifically which bug you're looking at. Oh, when you do the optional to open the treasury room, the hobgoblin won't unlock the door even if you kill the ice spider. So when you do the optional to open the treasury room, the hobgoblin won't unlock the door even if you kill the ice spider. So I have done that objective before. I think I know what you're talking about, though, and I think there is a bug there, which is an order of operation issue. Make sure that you don't kill the spider before you pick up the optional objective. So, because you can kind of spawn the spider regardless of where you are in the progress. And I think if you spawn it with the / command and then kill it before speaking to the initial hobgoblin first, I think it'll bug out like that. Yeah. Nonetheless, it would be good to be able to take care of that for you. Hopefully we can do that. Any chance we're going to make staves competitive with 2 scepters or scepter and orb? Christopher, that's an interesting question. There was a while ago now, I guess it's years ago now, where quarter staves were temporarily pretty hot. And I haven't really heard of any plans to focus on quarter staves. I wasn't personally aware that they were maybe not in an ideal position. The main thing, of course, with the quarter staff is it's two-handed, whereas scepter and orb, you've got twice as many benefits because you got one in each hand, right? Same kind of issue you might have with two-weapon fighting versus two-handed fighting. But it does sound like something we should perhaps take a look at and see if there's anything we can do there. Okay, you have talked to the hobgoblin first, and it still won't do it. I will take a look at that. I did copy that over into my notepad that I used to kind of do some follow-up on. And I'll try running it myself, see what's up. And also double-check, see if QA is aware or has filed, probably yes, a bug on it. Is Scottied in the dictionary? I don't know, but it should be. I mean, if we're going to put some of the slang terms that already get put in there, then let's do Scottied as well. Do the gold box games as content? My clock is 10 minutes behind. I imagine that would be a licensing nightmare. Sorry, James. I'm not going to say that wouldn't be super duper cool. I'm just saying that would unlikely to happen. Sorry. All right, so let me go real quick then before I get in game and talk a little bit about what we have going on short term, what we have going on the next couple of weeks, and get a little bit of word out about a few things. So first off, let me take a real quick look at the release notes, and there's not much. This is a very small patch today. In particular, well, I guess I could put the page up on the screen. We just have a couple of change lists, but they're fairly, probably worth passing along. Alright. Sentient weapons and sentient artifacts will no longer require being unequipped and re-equipped after a login to see their effects. Additionally, you can no longer unslot augments while your inventory is full. This is in response to some feedback that we've had in recent months, just some user interface issues, basically. And we were able to get this stuff done, and we figured, hey, let's not wait until the patch for this. There's also there may be a few exploit-related fixes in today's patch that I ain't gonna talk about, sorry. But nonetheless, that is also going on. But the main reason we did today's patch is to do a full top-to-bottom refresh of the game environment. We've been hearing from you, particularly in recent weeks, about an increase in lag, chat disconnects, zoning errors, and a few other things as well that we are actively looking into, and we have been looking into for some time now. We had done some work on runaway effects, as we call them, and that had been done the last patch. And we've done some other things as well, but what we did today, for the first time in not quite 90 days, I guess it is do a full system refresh. You know, normally when we do the maintenance work, we do the kind of standard reboot the game worlds, all that kind of thing. What we did today, and why it was longer than maybe a typical downtime, is that we did a full, basically, reboot of the entire environment. That includes everything from, like, authentication programs to deeper kind of systems and things with strange acronyms and what have you. But we also say, like, completely rebooted whatever virtual machining is going on and things like that. It's a longer process. It's a far more complex process. But the reason we did it is we want to get a sense of what impact not doing that work for about 90 days and instead doing a more standard server reboot every week. If we can see a dramatic difference between doing one versus doing another. So to that end, it would be useful for us to know if you're logging into the game today, tonight, tomorrow, something like that, to drop us a quick note, perhaps on social media or the forums. Just let me know. Did it make any difference? Has it made any difference? It seems like it should, internally has. Is that going to fix all lag? Heck no. But hopefully we will have made progress on some of your complaints from recent weeks, which, you know, is a thing because it's happening, right? So we would like to know, basically, is it worth essentially doing these extra hours worth of maintenance on a more, perhaps, shorter time frame than we currently do, and see if that has some kind of longer-term or significant impact on the game performance that you experience when playing. So that was the goal of today's patch. We threw in a few other things as well, but that was the main driver of today's downtime. So sure would love to hear from people, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be hearing, hey, lag's better. If that doesn't happen, however, that's fine as well, although obviously not what we want, nor what you want. But that would be fine feedback as well. Because if we did do all this extra work and it was like, it made no difference, well, then we'll probably keep doing the sort of work that we do on the time frame we have. But if we hear a big difference of, oh my gosh, you need to do this every week because it's night and day, for example, then that could drive some changes in the way we are rolling out some of these weekly reboots. All right, I talked about this last week. Bow down. So if I do /bow, or actually it's kneel, I think. Yeah. Yep. See, and then they just let you pass. How weird is that, huh? Oh, no, you didn't let me pass. Or maybe that's someone else. I don't know. I didn't do it right. It's been too long since I did it. I could have sworn it was kneel, not bow, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Oh, where am I going? What am I doing? Okay. Getting my bearings. I talked about this last week a little bit, but I've got some extra lights shining on my face at the moment because I just kind of like the video better. It does make it look a little bit like you're squinting into the sun when trying to play sometimes. I don't know how these YouTube influencers and stuff do it with the spotlights on their face. It definitely is a little bit of a challenge in terms of seeing everything that you might normally see when you don't have a bunch of spotlights in your face. But I'll get used to it, and I'll kind of maybe fix it up. But it just kind of looks better. Actually, it looks night and day. You want to look at night and day, look at, like, say, Average Weekly Wednesday live stream from
Misery's Peak.
July. compared to the camera here. Having the spotlights on my face makes kind of a difference. I'm going in on hard because I'm going in solo. And I want to be able to just sort of casually run through this quest while I speak to everyone. I probably could have done Elite, but I don't want to get into a situation where I run into problems. So that's what's up. I do not know when points will be available to purchase again through the external DDO market. Now, I guess it was called the new DDO market. Now it's just the DDO market. But nonetheless, I don't know when we'll be able to allow for the purchase of DDO points through that service. We know that it's gifting is a top want in the community, and it's our hope that we can do that soon. And actually, I forgot to put... Pretty sure I picked up Cleave at this point. Did I not? No? Okay, I guess I didn't. Huh. I thought I picked up Cleave already. Alright. Normal for the win. No, I'm not that bad yet. When are the new raids? Thank you for bringing that up. That is the next topic of conversation. So, this next week, not today, after this weekend, next week, we are currently planning to have our first preview of the new raid, along with some changes and additions to the anniversary event. So you're going to get a chance to preview the new anniversary event along with a raid preview, and that should be happening on the Mania next week. Clearly, I think there might be interest in getting this out before our anniversary. So in terms of when will it be released, you know, you can put 2 and 2 together there. But we'll, stay tuned for the official downtime. But, it's going to be within a couple of weeks here, ideally, hopefully, assuming next week's preview goes okay. But that's the plan. So next week, you will have your first chance to check out the raid on the Mania, along with some updated anniversary stuff and a handful of other kind of changes that are happening. So, there is a big... Well, I don't know if I would say... Okay. It's a loaded word, and it's a dangerous word to use things like, oh man, this is crazy. Something like that. There's something different about our next raid that's coming out that we have kept under wraps to this point, and we will continue to keep it under wraps for a little bit here until really you see it next week on Lamania, at which point I expect some posting perhaps on the forums, assuming everything that we think is going to be there is there for preview. We're going to be seeing some comments about, whoa, no way! So, should be pretty exciting. I, myself, am very much looking forward to doing something that, I don't want to hint about any more than I already have. Let's just say the raid's going to be, in my, Cordovan's biased opinion, awesome. It's going to be awesome. And it's going to be perhaps a little bit unlike anything you have played yet in DDO. How's that for setting expectations, huh? I try not to be too... I don't do fake hype. I really just... I think in general people understand that. I'll do whatever I need to do to meet my goals as an employee and such. But I don't generally do fake hype. If I'm telling you something that's kind of crazy and weird and unique, you can probably trust me on it. But, I guess we'll see. So, I guess I would say this. I don't know next week if what we're doing is truly unique in the MMO sphere or not. There is a lot of stuff that has happened in the world of MMOs, and it's not at all possible to really keep on top of everything, right? So I can't say for sure that this has never been done before. I could say that I myself have not seen it done before, and I think it's pretty crazy, and I think it's very cool.
With the second signal crystal activated, you hear the stone door at the base of the cavern rolling open.
It could be that when I say this, and then when everyone sees it next week, they're going to be like, oh, no, that was already done in, this MMO that did this thing, right? So, hopefully that's not true, but, it's possible. I guess we shall see, won't we? Where am I actually going here? I am going... Did I get all of them? I think I did, right? The thing about this low-level stuff, I'm so slow. Oh, it's painful. When you're at level, 20, 30 and you get used to it, and then you reincarnate, you're like, come on, Armag. You can do it! Run faster! So next week we're going to be doing our next preview on our public preview server of Lamania. That's going to take a look at the upcoming raid, along with where's my brain? I'm sorry. I'm trying to figure out what I need to do here. I believe I kind of do this on coast. I just sort of coast through, right? And then I forget where I actually left off, as it were. So there we go. Yeah. All right. Yes, the Feywild raid. So anyone who owns Feywild is going to be able to just play the raid, right? This is just part of the purchase that you made. We know it's took a little longer than some of you would have liked to get the new raid out there, but my hope is that when you see what we've done, you'll perhaps understand why this, particularly during, say, a time of COVID and working at home and everything, that it was a pretty ambitious plan, and it ended up just taking a little bit longer than originally estimated. Was there ever a wild surge magic enhancement tree planned for DDO? No, not that I can recall. The closest we had was with, was it Colors of the Queen? Is that the name of it, where you just kind of get random proc effects? That's sort of a wild magic flavored Epic Destiny ability. But in terms of a formal wild magic tree or something, I don't personally remember that ever coming up as something we were seriously considering for the development schedule.
Chills run down your spine as you finally come face to face with a dragon.
There's a wild mage. Oh, there was a wild mage Todd ring. Yeah, right. That's right. There was a wild mage benefit on the Todd ring. Okay. Well, I stand corrected then.
The door at the rear of the cavern pops open. Cultists, attracted by the roar of combat, rush out to confront you.
So let me mention that we are actively working on a producer's letter. I know it always takes, from kind of an outside perspective, I totally get it about, like, why in the world does it take 3 months to write 3 paragraphs, right? Or 5 paragraphs or whatever. All I could say is that it does. And the reason for that is that the actual writing of the letter is the easy part. So we're still working on the producer's letter. And hopefully, the goal is to try to get it done in time for the anniversary. Hopefully we've baked in enough approval times and such to make that a reality. But we're working on it. And that should let you know a lot more about the rest of our plans for 2021. Beyond what you've heard, say, from Sev's Q&A in December on Twitch. We are working to do another one of those Sev Q&A sessions, but at the moment, like, he personally is knee-deep in all sorts of kind of discussions of budget and business and what have you, and just doesn't have the time at the moment to carve out another Q&A, nor do I at this point. But it's our hope to be able to do one really as soon as we realistically can. Or also, there's a thought, and I guess we'll have to see if that happens as well, especially because of COVID and the need to try to probably film it from someone's house.
Another
I'm not
heavy door.
positive that it's
Hopefully
going to
the
work.
switch is nearby and not too well guarded.
But there's a thought about doing a video producer's letter this year on top of a written one, and I guess we'll just kind of have to see if that ends up actually happening, or if perhaps that can gets kicked down the road for next year. But that's the thought anyway. We would like to do
and
something.
You look down to
so
see
we'll have to see where we end up.
the ice. The dragon roars as it thunders after Selimas and Jeets and Talbron.
You know, especially when you get onto a big corporate announcement, as it were, that involves marketing, PR, e-commerce, licensors, executive level decisions, long-term planning, and commitment of funds to various projects. The writing of the producer's letter tends to be the shortest part of the process. Let me just put it that way. So you have all sorts of, like, wordsmithing and positioning and just, you know, PR and marketing, just all the stuff. And then when it gets all written, you gotta double, triple check, and then you send it to all the various people that need to take a look at it, and they'll come back with feedback. And so you probably do another round or two of, you know, messing around with it, etc., etc. And it just ends up taking a long time to actually get to the point that you hit publish on it on the forums. So
A signal crystal glows with power as you engage the first control lever. But where is the second?
And it's not unheard of that, you know, it gets stuck a little bit, right? You end up kind of in a discussion about, well, should we say something this way or that way? Can we commit to this or that? You know, we are 99% sure that we're going to be doing this thing, but what if the 1% happens? You know, you get into just all that kind of stuff. And it just ends up being a much bigger process than, say, just having, like, Sev sit down and just throw out something based on his feelings at the time, you know. Not that that same kind of thing doesn't happen during most of the posting we do. It's just that there are additional layers of process, bureaucracy, and consideration to be had when doing a producer's letter. I'm going to say, and maybe I'm wrong here, I'm going to say that, you know, it's not exactly fun to put these producers' letters together, although we love sharing the information. So the actual publishing bit is the exciting fun part. And seeing you read it and react and give us feedback, positively or negatively, thankfully mostly positively, is also really good. But the actual process to get this thing happening, so yep. shoot, did I forget to change my... Oh, I did, sorry. I didn't realize I was that full on the screen. I had moved it up when I was doing that web page thing. Sorry about that. Trust me, I am not that important. Do not look at me. Don't look at me! Alright, so actually I had briefly started talking about the cookie jar, and that it was unlikely we were going to be able to make it bound to account. I wanted to expound a little bit on that, and I realized I never did. So let me get to that now. We know that you like being able to have bound to account bags like that, and then trade them through the shared bank. You know, to alts and what have you. Doing that is among the riskier things from kind of an engineering perspective that we allow in the game, period. As you are well aware, there have been times in the past where things have not always gone well when you put a bag into a shared bank and then transfer it to another character and try to use it. Because you're essentially getting into levels of inception here, of bags within bags within bags within bags. And it's just a little risky. Typically, when it comes to the free bags you get for favor, over the years, there was a time, what, 2012, whatever year it was, where it was like, make all bags bound to character, period. Never allow another bound to account bag. But obviously we heard a lot of negative feedback on that from the community at the time, and I'm sure we'd hear similar thoughts today about ability to ask. People want to be able to do it, but it's very risky. So the general kind of compromise that we've settled on, which isn't sort of an official ruling, but is sort of the way we've been rolling with it for a few years now, is that if we're selling you a bag, if you are spending your DDO points on any kind of what's called a singleton bag, that's the internal name of this kind of bag. I don't know why it has that name. It's some kind of engineering tech system called a singleton. Anyway, whatever. If you're going to be buying one of those bags, we need to ensure that it doesn't lose all your stuff. If you get a bag through favor, then perhaps we are more amenable to you accepting that risk and using it as you would prefer. So when you get to a situation like the cookie jar, which you can't get in-game, but instead you have to purchase, it's just not good business practice for us to deliberately sell something that could cause some issues. Now that said, we haven't actually had missing bag issues in quite some time, in part because most of the bags are now bound to account. But for those that are still out there, we haven't really had a lot of missing stuff in, what, at least a few years now that I'm aware of. Outside of maybe a few kind of one-offs related to reincarnation or what have you. So, you know, we'll see. Maybe long-term that'll start to change. But at least for now, that's the general kind of thinking that's been going on for a few years.
Spot a green crystal on the ledge ahead. At last.
And that's not to say we even accept these items going missing. We don't want that to happen at all. I mean, trust me, that is like red alert crisis mode when we see if we ever see a post like that on the forums, right? But I am just saying that ultimately we have to balance what we need to do versus what the community would like us to do related to sharing of bags, and that's kind of where we've landed. Any hardcore updates? Yes. We are going to have a lot more to say about that in the producer's letter, at least based on what I saw yesterday. And where we ended up is we're actually going to tell you when each season's going to be. And but I can't break that news for you today. I apologize. However, it should be in the near future. I will say that there was someone had asked whether we could expect it, say, late this year or earlier this year.
And like magic,
the answer to our next hardcore seasons is going to be much sooner than
Savior of Korthos.
But we're just not in a position today to make that
But
announcement.
destiny has greater plans for you. than just this small village.
So, can we not have what you call recurring cosmetics for this hardcore season? Let me ask you, Apocalypse Dom, are you specifically saying that you would like to see a return of older hardcore season rewards? Or are you asking for something perhaps a little bit different? Alright. No. New rewards. Yes. We will have new rewards for the next hardcore season. The reason I bring that up is there's been some discussion, really over the past 6 months to a year, about whether we should consider doing like a short-term hardcore season. Would players actually enjoy, let's say, just for the sake of argument here, a real quick, like 30 days active version of kind of a hardcore season 3.5? And would you be interested, and then just put basically all the old vendor rewards from seasons 1, 2, and 3 on that vendor? There's also been some thought about whether we could, say, remove some of the iconography of, like, say, the 1, 2, and 3 on the cloak. That way, there's still some level of special for having earned it for that season. But the thought is, what if we did, like, a real mini kind of mid-season mini-season where we allowed people to go back in and pick up some of those things that they really wanted but couldn't get, or specifically in the case of hardcore seasons 1 and 2, they maybe weren't VIP and didn't want to go VIP and didn't have an opportunity to get that stuff. Yeah, lightning round, essentially. Actually, we've called it lightning round inside of the office as well, so, you know, something like that. This isn't something that we're committing to or anything. It's just been something that we've kind of kicked around a little bit. At one point, it was maybe going to happen. Now it's maybe not going to happen. But it's something that still is on our minds about, would players actually want that? Would you want an opportunity to get all that stuff again? And if so, could we do like a short 30-day thing? So why not sell a hardcore pass, aka a 3-month pass? That's come up. That, you know, I mean, ultimately, you should probably just go VIP rather than buy a 3-month hardcore pass. But theoretically, that is something that we could offer. That if you're like, well, if you really want it, if you really don't want to be VIP, but you really want to be on a hardcore, and we force hardcore to be VIP only, which I don't think we're going to do anytime soon. You know, it's been something that's come up. But I think instead we're probably going to go with what we did on Season 3, which is open it up to everyone. Sorry, Samus. I'm not going to say we'll never do a VIP-only hardcore again, but Hardcore Season 3 was pretty darn successful, in part because we opened it up to not just VIP, so. Yes, the DDO experience. Thank you for your question. Since I'm talking about the cookie jar, you ask on Twitch, why can't the anniversary cookies go into it? I have great news for you. We're going to try. We're going to try. That's currently on someone's plate to get done in time for the anniversary this year. To roll in those, what are they? Well, the anniversary cookies and let them go into the cookie jar. So. But then are we saying that the dimensional augment bag BTA is risky? Specifically as it relates to that, you know, like I said, it's something that we've had to kind of go back and forth. You know, on the one hand, you've got, say, the need for best practice, and then on the other hand, you've got the wants of the community and historical ability to trade some of these bags. And, you know, like I said, we haven't had bag issues for an awful long time, actually. For what, at least a few years. So when it came time to do the dimensional augment bag, it was perhaps less of a concern. But, of course, if we were to begin to see reports of augments going missing or something, then that would clearly motivate us to make a change. I'm just scrolling through chat. I want to make sure I'm not doing that. Greller, I can't really get into more about what I'm probably shouldn't have said about Hardcore 3 season being particularly successful, in part because we opened it up to free-to-play players and premium players. I'm going to let you connect the dots there
sets your nerves
as
on
to
edge.
what that means. But, you know. It wasn't just, say, about raw dollars and cents, though. There was a lot of participation, wider participation, exponentially, on Hardcore Season 3. And just the feedback we get from thousands of players, right, is, hey, that was awesome. Keep doing it. We do have, you know, people like Samus who would prefer that we gate Hardcore Seasons only to the VIPs. But that just seems unlikely. For the short term, at least. Do we feel any changes under new boss ? More or less pressure? Nope. Me personally, and the office in general, nah. It's been business as usual. But yes. That's not to say we haven't been in communication or anything. I'm just saying that. No, it has not led to any kind of dramatic changes in the office. Not that we have an office anymore. Well, we have an office. We just haven't been there in what? Is it going on a year? I think it's going on a year. So I would need to actually go through my email, my corporate email, to see when we did it. I seem to recall it was late February that we started this whole work from home thing due to COVID. Or was it March? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. It's either February or March, I think 19th to 21st or something, in that range. Either February or March 19th to 21st that we started doing this COVID work from home thing. And we haven't been back since, so we'll see. Well, I haven't been back since. Yeah, I haven't been back since. These headphones just magically appeared one day at my house. I have no idea how that happened. Will there ever be one mob added to Haberdasher? Yes, you want Reaper XP for it. No. That's why. Sorry. I think that there would be, I mean, we could address it, but probably not. I'm just doing brainless easy quests right now, since I'm kind of in the middle of talking, and I've got about 10 minutes left. Yeah, it must have been March 19th. Okay, so not quite a year then. Yeah. That's right, actually, because it was right after PAX East, and PAX East was, I believe, basically the end of February-ish. So yeah, it must have been March 19th. Sure, I can get to the weekend bonus in just a second. No, Growler, we do not officially support paying the difference between upgrades of our expansions. My understanding is that to some extent, some of that happened with direct customer service contacts over the years, but I believe in general we don't officially support that. And I don't really see us doing so in the future. But yeah, 15 years, huh? 1-5. We're getting our learner's permit.
You have acquired the miller's goods. Time to return them to Berrigan-Enge.
Can we talk about the feedback we've gotten for the extra lives in Hardcore 3? I don't know that I'm really ready to give you like some kind of big official statement on that. I would say the feedback has been mixed. It would be my personal interpretation of it, which is that we have some people who very much prefer it because it gives you that one chance to correct perhaps some kind of stupid error that happens because you spilled your soda, or there was some kind of big lag spike, or you had a power failure in the house and were dead when you came back, or whatever it is. And that stuff did happen, during Hardcore Seasons 1 and 2. And so we heard quite a bit about... Yes, because now when I actually die, it's quote a true death. It's not a cheap death. It's a real death, as it were. But that said, we also have received feedback from people who were like, it makes it less hardcore, and so change it. I don't know that there is necessarily a right or wrong here. I think, both people are probably correct to some extent. I will say this, though, from kind of a gameplay perspective, the advantage of offering a couple of lives that you have to earn, and trust me, it's, people are still dying in Hardcore. They are still dying in Hardcore a lot. And there are lots of people who did not get anywhere near level 8 in Hardcore Season 3. So there's a whole bunch of people who did just have one life. And there are a few people who were able to unlock a couple extras, one at level 8 and one at level 16, that they then were able to use to their benefit. But, I think mostly we would be interested in knowing more from you about what you think. Like I said, we've heard the gamut, the full spectrum of feedback, I think, on that particular change. And at this point, I think we're leaning toward continuing it. In part because it opens up a lot more content, too. I remember, like, say, Seasons 1 and 2. You die at level... You start playing, you die at level 4. Crap. Okay, well, back to Korthos. Okay, well, I die at level 7. Well, crap. Okay, now I'm back to Korthos again. I made it to level 10. Yay! Oh, I'm dead. Okay, back to Korthos again. Et cetera, et cetera. And so there's a little bit of burnout, right? And that burnout is very much alleviated when you buy the addition of those minor, well, not minor, those extra lives that you can earn.
You cleared the infestation from the southern.
It kept people playing, who otherwise would have probably bounced. So, should we make a change there? We'd like to hear more from you, I guess. But I think should the current plan that I'm aware of, I have not heard of any plans to remove either premium free-to-play access of Hardcore or the removal of the earned up to 2 extra lives.
cleared the infestation from the crypt's northern wing.
So that's an interesting idea, anti-chap, about kind of unlocking
You
vet
hear a
status
massive
essentially
body
on the
moving
hardcore
about on eights
world
in
through the
Lunaria.
achievement of whatever goal was determined. I think that would actually be less popular though, because
The
people getting that
spider's
kind of
lifeless
just
body
you never have
crunches on
to
the
level from 1 to
bones.
7 in hardcore for the rest of the season. I really can't see that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I really can't see that being particularly popular. Yeah, that was my impression as well, Apocalypse Dom, is even if you think the extra lives is cheap, there's the people who didn't need it for hardcore seasons 1 and 2 still don't need it. And the people who basically were less successful perhaps in seasons 1 and 2 tended to appreciate it more. So I think it's a little bit of a split between, how did you do during the first couple of hardcore seasons in terms of how you feel about the addition of a few extra lives there. All right. I will, yeah, let me get to, oops. Get to the weekend bonus. By the way, in case you are a longtime viewer of the show and wonder why I call this up every week instead of just having it on my screen or something, I don't know. Someday I'll get it right. Okay, we have got, double check my dating on that. All right, we have got double daily dice XP. So that is a little bit of a confusing one in that we tend to get a lot of feedback about why, like for example here, did I get 3,000 points instead of 6,000, or why did I not get 3,000 point XP stones? And the reason for that is it's all done behind the scenes. So the double daily dice, that would have been 1,500, and now it's 3,000. Well, I mean, theoretically, if today were tomorrow and the bonus were active, that's what that would mean. Should I be rolling daily dice while questing in the middle of combat? I totally don't do this when I'm in groups with players. Where are my daily dice? Or in the middle of a raid. So we're going to be wrapping up the show here in a little bit. Might be a good opportunity to see what kind of final questions, as there were, might be coming in. Oh, yeah. Dumbass. I'm speaking to myself. I just rolled my gold daily dice! Even, see, yeah. Oops. Oh, well, poor Armok. Did I say, I have not given a specific date for the publication of the producer's letter. All I can say is that we are actively working on it, and we'd love to get it out by the anniversary, but is that going to happen? Can't tell you today. I can tell you we're going to try. And at the very least, we're going to have something. Whether it's a formal producer's letter or just, hey, we're on Twitch telling you everything that we would have said in the producer's letter. I have not heard of plans to do a significant player housing update. Shoemaker, yeah, we're still working on the idea of on getting DDO point purchases and gifting in the new DDO market. We don't have an ETA on that. It's basically some additional development work that's going to have to be done on the part of a couple of different entities, a couple of different businesses in order to make that happen. And that's something that we would like to do in the future, absolutely. We have not, yeah, it's true, we have not done, there's a Vet Status 3 event that we can do, which lets you create characters at level 10, and we have not done that for a while. We only do that for super special occasions, but it's true that we haven't done it for quite some time, so maybe we can find a special occasion here in the relatively near future to bring that back for a weekend or something like that. I mean, there's nothing happening, right? There is Reaper XP and Haberdasher if a Reaper spawns. Correct. Yes. Yes. I'm aware of that. There are ways to make it work. Listen, I forgot about YouTube today? Shoemaker's saying? Why are you saying that? I didn't forget about YouTube. I know what you are, YouTube. You're my friend. Actually, I don't think YouTube's
The crate has survived.
I don't know. We'll see.
Templar has placed
Anyway,
its
okay.
No
What
more
other
kobolds
questions?
should be able to find their way into the warehouse.
Vet Status 1 is level 4, lets you skip Korthos, correct? And level 2, Vet Status 2 is level 7. And then Vet Status, which can be purchased in the DDO store. And then Vet Status 3 is an event that we do during real special occasions. Actually, did we debut that for the 10th anniversary? I'm tempted to say yes. Was that really 5 years ago now? My gosh. Yeah, the bloody... we are well aware that that bloody footprint is the big reason, maybe the biggest reason why people want us to bring back a mini season of the hardcore league. I would love to see us do another bloody footprint in the future. Will there be a Guild Renown bonus weekend soon? Yes, absolutely. I don't know exactly when. We're actually in the middle of putting together all the bonuses for the year. But we typically go on a basic rotation. So, yes, we will absolutely get a Guild Renown bonus within a few months here, if not sooner. It could be cool, but distinguished from the bloody one. Yeah, yeah, that's that is something that we've had to give consideration for. The problem ultimately with that, and it's not really a problem, but the problem with that, as it were, is that
You enter into
internal kind of
Hazadel's
development-wise, right?
Crates line
If
the
we're
walls. Time to start smashing.
making a... Well, one is just take the existing items, throw it in the vendor, call it done. The other is make new versions of every item released for the Hardcore League as a separate item that is slightly differentiated from the original version as released during the Hardcore League season. Like, for example, getting rid of the 1 on the back of the cloak and either replacing it or leaving it blank. Or perhaps
3
making
exits leave the room. You must hurry before Hazardel knows you are here.
magic
Keep
footprints
smashing his
instead of
crates.
bloody footprints. You know, whatever. Something like that. But then that's not actually giving people a chance to get the same item again, is it? I think it's one thing if it's a cloak that's just missing the 1. It's another thing if your bloody footprints are blue, you know? So we've kind of gone back and forth, and there's been all sorts of kind of discussions and such kind of, as it were, as you'd expect, in terms of, well, do we want to actually give people a chance to get the stuff again? And if so, what does that mean? You know, and we also know people kind of feel strongly. It's like, hey, I'm one of only like 20 people in the entire game to have earned this, so you better not let everyone else just have it, you know? So the goal there is to try to make everyone happy, and I don't know that you can entirely do that, but you do the best you can, and hopefully we can come up with something that'll, you know, satisfy folks. It's true. Hardcore Season 2 and 3 did not have footprints. I think in part because there was nothing, like, wrong with the footprints, but as folks are well aware, it ended up being a not insignificant amount of bug fix work. And so I think it was kind of like, hey, hang on these footprints. Let's just not start making more if they're just going to also be bugged. So I think really that's all that was going on in terms of why there wasn't one for Season 2 and 3. And my understanding, gosh, we did, right? Fix it for Warforged and Blade Forged, I believe. Yes? No? Someone tell me. And then you do also have the thing. It's like, well, we made these bloody footprints, and if there's really only, you know, X number of people who will ever own it, you know, and that number is like less than 50, you know, or whatever. You know, maybe we should let people have a chance at it again, you know. Actually, I don't think it's less than 50 because I believe I would need to look at the Season 1 leaderboards to see where that threshold fell on the leaderboards there. But my understanding is it's certainly not lots of people have the bloody footprints.
Splinters to bits, you know that you have successfully stopped Hazadel's illicit trade.
I can't say that one out loud. That's funny. It's a fart joke. Okay. Make a weekend bonus schedule yearly open to everyone to check if not new added. Johnny, that has come up. That has come up. So the reason we don't do that on DDO is that unlike the other game, Lord of the Rings Online, where we actually basically write our bonuses into a program inside of the game that then turns it on and off automatically turns on at 10 a.m. Eastern, turns off at 3 a.m. Eastern. That system doesn't exist in DDO. It was never ported over due to some engine, concerns and technicalities back in the day. So what that means is for DDO, we actually have someone go in and manually flip knobs and switches and run commands, as it were, to turn on these bonuses. The nice thing about that is it allows us to be pretty flexible. We can just be like, oh, no, we don't want to do daily dice this weekend. Daily dice, everyone's hating daily dice right now, or whatever, right? We could just sort of shift it on a fly, whereas on the Lord of the Rings side, they have to schedule a build. It has to be built into a game build, right? So, or basically, something like that anyway. Not quite, but I'm not going to get into it. And so that's really kind of why DDO's bonus setup is a little more haphazard in terms of exact start and end times, as opposed to Lotro's, which is just, it is now, the second has turned into 10 a.m. Eastern on the server time, and so the thing is now here. So. All right, I have gone over my time here. I will just say, Kim over on Facebook, thank you for being here. We have not announced any plans to do a 2-year season pass again. I don't know if we'll ever do it in the future, but it's not on our agenda currently. All right, thanks very much for watching the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. I assume Samus Garobo is going to be up next. Thanks very much for being here, and I'll see you next Wednesday with more. You can find the full schedule over on twitch.tv/DDOstream. Have fun, everyone.